Hey everybody, it's Moonhorse again. Coming in just before this video with a little bit of information. We're talking about the University of Utah healthcare program. A friend of mine is not doing well and needs you guys, if you can, to look into this program, donate if you can, help out if you can. They're looking for, donations, people who can do live kidney transplants, the whole thing. This is a very good cause, and it's very, very important. So if you guys have anything you can do to help, or any way that you can help at all, please do. It would mean a lot to me. It would mean a lot to everybody. It's not just me, it's about everybody. Everybody's in this together, so we should all put together to actually do something. Like, if you're interested, or you have any way that you can possibly get in touch with this, or if you're in the area and you can do something to help out, you can contact them at uofulivingdonor.org. Or you can contact them at the phone number 801-587-8816. If you're interested in helping my friend specifically, when you get through to somebody or you're talking to somebody, ask for Corinne C. Powell. That's who needs the help right now. It's this person who asked me to kind of help out, not just for her, but for everybody. So if you want to help out, you want to contribute to a good cause, you want to do something good, really help these people out. They could use it. Alright, so now on with the show. Hey, that's a sound. Hey everybody, it's me and Sango, and we're gonna do a movie review, which you probably already saw by the title. Tonight we're gonna watch Fury Road, and then we're gonna talk about it. But we're doing the intro right now because she's never seen it, and I've seen it about 500 fucking times. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. So, no pressure, but
Thanks.
Yeah. So, okay, you've never seen this movie, right?
No, I've never seen this movie. Last movie I watched of Mad Max was literally Beyond the Thunderdome.
Oh, Beyond Thunderdome. So, a weird but good classic. Who run Bata Town? This one's going to be nothing like that. It's going to be completely different. It's been a long time since a Mad Max movie, and this was made by a completely different group.
Same director.
Yeah, but there's a lot of the same actors that were in some of the others. Obviously, Mel Gibson isn't in this, but the guy...
It's okay.
The guy who plays the main villain, who I don't want to talk about too much, is also the same guy who plays Lord Humongous from Mad Max 2, Road Warrior. So, it's the same actor. But they do a lot of stuff
weird.
like that. There's a lot of, references and insights and things like that. But the big thing is, at least 80 to 95% of this movie is practical effects. There's very little CGI, which is weird for a modern movie, but yeah, there's a lot of practical effects. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I can't wait for you to see this movie. So, so we're gonna watch the movie, and then we're gonna come back, and then we're gonna talk to you guys more about the movie. So, okay, we'll be back. Okay, we're back. We just watched the whole movie. So what'd you think?
It's crazy. It's wild. I love it.
I told you would love it. Oh my god, it's such a great movie!
The guy would not stop playing guitar.
Oh, Coma Doof, yes. So...
he just wouldn't stop. And then the first time he did, he was just sleeping. And then it's like, brum, brum, brum. Oh, gotta go play again.
I mean, that's who he is. He's the Doof Warrior.
So funny.
So yeah, I mean, there's detailed history about everything in this movie that goes way beyond what was even said in the movie. So there's like this whole lore and crazy interesting shit behind it. But yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
Out of the Mad Max's movies, it's probably going to be my favorite now.
That's what everybody has been saying, and I agree. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's definitely one of my favorite. It's in the list of Mad Max movies. This is the top. I don't know what comes after. Maybe the first or the second one. I'm not really sure. Thunderdome is in there somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure where.
Um, Thunderdome for me, the only reason I even remember it at all is because it was weird.
It
And
was.
just some of the characters, it's just kind of like you know them because of how weird it really is.
Well, what I've always said about Thunderdome, because people like it, and then there's people who don't like it, and they're like, "Oh, it's the worst of them." Like, the Interceptor wasn't in it. You take out the car, you ruin the whole fucking movie. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think, like, I don't remember much of the second movie because really that didn't get played as much.
The first and second one kind of blend together because the first one is more a study of who Max is, and the second one is more like his adventures in the wasteland and the shit that happens from there on out. But
well, yeah, it's just I remember the first one vividly because I saw it so much.
Yeah,
that's probably why I like it. If I had to rank the Mad Max movies they've made so far, Fury Road is definitely my favorite now. Now that I watched it,
told you would like it. I knew it.
I literally think the first one will be the next one that I like because you get to know the guy. You get to know who Mad Max is, why he's in this situation, how he got here. Like I said, I don't remember too much about the second movie. Beyond Thunderdome is really just... It's a weird movie. It literally is. It's not a bad one. It's just kind of like, the heck is going on and what the fudge?
Yeah, so the bad guy from the second movie, Lord Humongous, is the same actor who plays Immortan Joe.
Well, yeah, I did recognize the guy.
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Yeah, it's obvious. The only thing they did was just paint him a different color.
Well, he's like a whole different character, but his voice is unmistakable. But
well, yeah.
Yeah, so...
especially with that mask on, Jesus.
Yes, Immortan!
Yeah, so, I'm just saying this now, like, I only got to hear as much dialogue as Discord could let through. Because Discord doesn't like background noise.
I know, I tried to turn it up, but I couldn't turn it up too much louder, otherwise I couldn't hear it. It'd be so loud I couldn't understand it.
It's fine. I was able to only hear so much, and that's okay, because it's just kind of like, really, even if you didn't get to hear dialogue too much, the visuals kind of speak for itself.
It's a beautiful movie, too.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. Like, that, wherever George Miller went to do that is perfect.
Pretty sure that was Australia. I'm pretty sure that was the Australian outback.
Yeah, then he did a pretty good job, because the Australian outback is like the most beautiful places to do a lot of filming. It's why a lot of people do filming in Australia.
It's a great shot movie. I mean, so okay, so we're talking about this, but what questions do you have? I think I might be able to answer them because I know a lot about this fucking crazy movie.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, you already told me about like why he is like he is, and why the other people are like that. The only thing that kind of, I guess it kind of confused me a little bit. So, like, I understand why he needs offspring. I understand that, but if he keeps getting failure after failure, why does he even bother?
It's mostly ego. The idea that he wants a male child who's to take over his throne because he's dying, and his other two sons can't do it. I can't remember the older brother's name.
Isn't the really brute guy is one of his sons?
Yes, the one is the little guy who is still at the Citadel the whole time, but I can't remember his name. The other guy is Rictus Erectus. He's not too bright. He's very strong, but he's also like dumb as a sack of rocks. So, and Immortan Joe kind of knew that, and was like, yeah, he can't. His brother's not physically intimidating, and he's kind of a moron. So this will never work.
Well, it's interesting because it's kind of like it's really. I don't know how you want to put it, but it's really funny how like. After having 2 kids, you should know that the next one probably wouldn't have worked.
Well, again, it's ego. He doesn't care. It's about
True.
it's about dominance and power. Immortan Joe is just that kind of guy.
Okay. So the biggest question. Well, So this is the giant question. So all of the visions that Mad Max keeps having.
Yeah.
That Max keeps having. My bad. Sorry.
You're fine.
What is that all about? Because it doesn't really explain.
A lot of it is references to things that have happened to him in the past. How he.
Well, I don't remember the kid.
A lot of that is also that too. We don't know. So Miller decided, I think, with this one to kind of go Star Wars with it, to kind of make like A New Hope before you made the prequels. So there was a long stretch of time between this movie and and Thunderdome, and something happened in between there, but that part isn't being told because that was not important to the story of what was happening in this movie. He did say, and I think they're working on it, that there is a sequel specifically about this movie, which is about Furiosa. So it's less about Max and more about Furiosa, and at some point I think there will be more of a story to where Max has been, but I like Furiosa as a character. I like the fact that they're trying to take this in a direction that's more about a different character now, to explore this world with a different voice and a different person, and Furiosa is a hell of a character, so I'm down with this. This all sounds really exciting.
Oh yeah, like I would like the idea of having a new person take up the mantle of Max, because really, if you think about it, in my opinion, Fury Road was really his last run.
Fury Road.
I think a lot of people didn't think. I guess a lot of people don't think that this is like the last of Max's journey, because that's kind of what I got out of it.
Well, I mean, there may be. Yeah, I can kind of see that. I mean, there may be more to him as a character to be explored with this new direction and this new voice. But we already know a lot about Max. Like, we already know where he came from and what some of the things that he's done. So it's okay to take a break from that story to tell another one, because we have enough information.
Well, that's what I mean. It's kind of like taking, well, you remember in Force Awakens where it really just focused on Kylo Ren, Rey, and all the new people, even though they brought back old people. And I've had to explain it to a lot of people that the new Star Wars movies is not focused on the fact that Luke is back. It's focused on the new Jedi, which is Rey.
Yeah, we've heard Luke's story, we've heard Han's story, we've heard Leia's story, and we know what it is. We know what the rebellion is, and we know what happened with the rebellion, but we don't know what's happening with this new thing, and that's kind of the direction I see the Mad Max movies going in. It's like, we know the story of Max, we know what he's been through, but what about the rest of the world? What about other people? There has to be something else. The entire world was affected by this, so...
Yeah, and it's kind of like the way... When I saw that, like, for the ending, for example, when Max and Furiosa acknowledges the fact that, yes, he has to leave, but she's in charge now to take up the mantle of what's going to happen through the wasteland, because he's going somewhere where he wants to be far away from everything.
Yeah.
and figure out how to how to himself like move past from what he went through.
Yeah, it feels like the direction we might be moving in is less a story about Max and more the story of the wasteland, with him being the kind of vicarious wanderer that we go through in order to see these stories. Which, I mean, there's a lot of backstory to stuff that happens in Fury Road that didn't get made in the movie because it's not. Well, I mean, like I said, it's not about the backstory. It's about the story that's being told right then and there. So, like, okay, so the guy you like so much, the Coma Doof, the guitar guy.
I'm sorry.
He's a great character. He's a hysterical character. I love him. This, if I'm not mistaken, his story is something like the Immortan Joes found him, like he was with the war party or something, and they found him as a child. His parents had been killed by raiders, but yeah, he's completely blind, but he's like a prodigy with a guitar. He's an amazing guitarist, and when they found him, he was like a savage animal. He could hear them moving around him. He could even hear them with their weapons and knew how to like get away from almost being killed. And instead of killing him, Joe thought he was so amazing that he kind of like took him in and brought him into the war party. And it's, it's like a thing with the old military things where you have like musicians to keep spirits high during battle, and that's pretty much what he is. That's why that was a what is that thing called? It's an army vehicle that's essentially a mobile missile launcher, like it's an SAM carrier.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yes, but they didn't have any missiles for the SAM launcher, so they hollowed it out and put these enormous war drums in it, and just cover the entire front with the speakers, and then wire the electrical system into it, so that it's just like this whole battle anthem. It's just, that's pretty much what they did with it, and that's the Doof Wagon. All the vehicles have names. They all have names.
I figure they do, and it's, I don't know, it's just so funny just to see like how it's funny because I've seen a lot of the Mad Max's movies, and I know that a lot of people are like, oh, but they have their iconic vehicle run and all of this kind of stuff. And the thing is that out of the vehicle chases that are like over the top, done well, cinematography great, Fury Road kind of like takes the icing on the cake because it's just done perfectly. Like, you got the anthem playing in the background, and you got all these different vehicles just, rooming to the sound of their battle anthem, and just, doing all this stuff. You just would not expect it any better from another Mad Max movie, because it's just kind of like, yeah, they had their vehicle chases in the other movies, but there wasn't as much as Fury Road. Fury Road was literally on the road constantly, and it was great. Where the others were like, well, they always settled somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing that really sets this movie apart from a lot of modern movies is the idea that it is 90 to 95% practical effects. It's not, there's very little CGI, if at all. There's image enhancement and color correction, but most of it is practical effect.
Well, yeah, like, there wasn't really, because I could tell, it's funny because I can really tell if there's any CGI in it or not, and there was none.
No, there was.
I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't any, just that there isn't any that's really noticeable that you could even tell that it's even CGI at all.
It's very limited. Obviously, like the very last scene with everything flying towards the camera, that's CGI.
Oh yeah.
For the most part, like the very last couple of images. the flamethrower effect, I think the first time you see Coma Doof is CGI, but that's because they tried to use a real flamethrower, but of how fast the truck was going, it literally would just immediately whip behind it, so it just created this line behind it that didn't... It's not impressive, so they had to kind of fake one that it did actually have a flamethrower built into it. His guitar has a flamethrower in it. It's just when you're going 40 miles an hour, fire tends to go backwards. So it didn't work so well in the original shoots.
No, I knew that was CGI because you really can, on a computer, you can control how a flame comes out of a guitar.
Yeah,
without burning the person or the people behind you and all that kind of stuff. Because flamethrowers, yes, when you're driving 40 miles an hour and there's a lot of wind going on, it will flamethrower behind you and it might burn somebody.
That's, most of the effects, in order to make the fire look real, is taken from later in the movie when Rictus and some of the flamers were actually using real flamethrowers. So they just mimicked that kind of design and used it. So it does look pretty real, and I think that's pretty much the idea, is that it kind of looks like that.
I think what George Miller was trying to go for is that he wanted it to still look like the flamethrower in the guitar was still working, but just not as full-blown.
Yeah, you have to change stuff for certain scenes, but yeah,
it's barely noticeable. It really is barely noticeable.
Yeah,
it's not like if you took another movie that's literally, you could tell that's CGI'd because of...
Yeah, like everything in Avatar.
Oh, gosh. Let's not talk about that movie.
Yeah, but all the vehicles were real. They all do exist.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are... I love how impressive they made them.
They're all custom built.
Well, yeah, it's just amazing. I love it. Especially when they redid Max's car. It's impressive.
Yeah. I can't remember what they called it. It has a name. Like I said, everything has a name. Razor Cola, that's it. So, originally it was the V8 Interceptor, one of the last of the V8 Interceptors, which is a Ford Falcon, if I'm not mistaken, a 74 Ford Falcon, which is essentially the Australian version of the Mustang. It's more or less the same car.
It's actually funny because that one runs better than the Mustang. It's hilarious.
It's more or less the same vehicle, but it's been heavily modified over the different movies.
Yeah.
And in the original first, like in the original movie, you can see it as it was built specifically for the movie.
No, I remember it in the original movie.
Yeah, and there's a guy who has a version of it that looks exactly like the one it did in the first movie. However, I want the Interceptor from this movie, just ratty, crazy, with its giant quad pipes and enormous fuel tank and insane shit bolted to it.
Yeah,
I just want it to look like a fucking nightmare. I love that. I think it looks amazing.
Oh, I loved it. I guess you could say, like, the interesting things is, like, how, what I found really interesting is, like, when you first get to know the breeders, which I don't think they
the
had
wives.
names. Yeah, the wives. When you first get to know the wives, it's interesting how, like, they... Not only are they so much against the guy, which I can't blame him, considering how he is, it's just interesting how, like, each one of them has a different type of personality, and it's great.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they're not generic wives used as breeding. They actually have different personalities, and it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, that's what George Miller more or less intended for this movie, and I think he said it in like a kind of like a making of thing behind the movie, was everything about this movie has a character, because it's such a very
it's such a very limited scope when you look at it, when you look at how many people are actually involved and what exactly is going on. The scope is very narrow, so even the vehicles have personality.
Oh yeah.
By the end of it, you feel bad for losing certain things, and like some of the cars are kind of like, they show up randomly, and it's like they're enemies and all this other shit. But by the end of the movie, when Nux flips the war rig, it's like it was. You don't realize how. Yeah, you don't realize how much of a big part of the movie that it was, but it was a character. It was like the rig is always there. It is stability throughout the entire thing, and when it blows up in order to save them, and Nux flips it in order to save everybody, it's like you lost two characters at one time because they feel so interconnected.
It's pretty sad because it's like it's not just the war rig that really got me. I think it was just the fact that Nux died is what got me,
yeah.
because he believed in Immortal Joe.
Yeah,
and then when he gets betrayed because he slips up,
yeah,
it's so sad.
Yeah, he believed everything Immortan Joe told them. Like the other war boys, he bought it hook, line, and sinker because he knew, like the rest of them, he had a half-life. Unlike a normal person who would live till 70 or 80 or even longer with medical care, but he was irradiated from birth. They were all born in the Badlands, so it was like maybe he'll live till 30, and that's it. It would, like, the radiation and the mutations and the cancers would kill him. That's what he was talking about. He had the lumps on his shoulders were tumors, and sometimes I
love how he named them.
Yeah, Larry and Barry. And sometimes they get so bad they squeeze his windpipe so he can't breathe, and he has night fevers. So when he tries to sleep or something, he will like his body will start shutting down. And that's the thing with the War Boys. They're told that even though you have a half-life, if you follow and do everything Immortan Joe wants and what he decrees, they see him as a god. They see him as a living god. Like, you will be born again in Valhalla to live with the immortals, feasting and fighting for all eternity. Which is, essentially what the Vikings believed. So, Immortan Joe is obviously there's a lot of history behind him on different wikis and stuff, but from what we can gather from the movie, he's obviously a very smart man, very educated, since he knows all this stuff. He built a religion around himself to create this military power, and so much so that he knew that there would be other gangs in the wasteland who would settle in different places, and knew who to make friends with and who to make enemies of. So he didn't the war boys of the Citadel will fight the buzzards or the buzzsaws because they have nothing. They're just raiders. They wander the wasteland, kill and take whatever they want. But they're not enemies with what do you call it? With the people from Gastown or the bullet farmers, because they can benefit from being allies with them. So the Citadel can create fresh food and water, and they trade food, water, and whatever else they have for things like weapons and fuel and parts and guns and all these things to continue being the most powerful thing. And it's not by accident. It's obviously Joe knowing that he can negotiate with these people and kind of create this interconnected system to more or less build a society of their own. So he's not stupid, but he is incredibly controlling and domineering, and I think that's what a lot of this was about. Is he's smart, but he's also like a very psycho-masculine fascist. So there's a lot of great lines and great moments in this movie, and when a lot of people say it's weird that an action movie this much could have such a good message without being like, oh, macho and man. It's like, yeah, that's why people like it so much, because it feels organic. It feels real, like the comfort and like the trust that they have in each other and the actions that come out of it feel real. They feel like real connections real people would have. So, but it is, like I have said like a couple of times, one of my favorite scenes is still that part where Max kills the bullet farmer. And all you see is the explosion, and then when he comes back, he's carrying all that stuff, and he's just got blood all over him, and oh shit, who was it? I can't remember which girl it was, but she was like, "Are you okay?" And he's just like, "What?" He's just like, "You're bleeding," and furious, just because it's not his blood. Whoa! I got chills.
Yeah, really. It's just kind of like that's not his.
It's like, damn, that was cold.
I love how she said that, and it's just kind of like, ooh, don't mess with Max.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great lines and really great moments throughout the whole thing. Just like the real subtle nods to things and stuff like that. One of my other favorites was whenever they come across the tower, and the woman's just in the tower screaming for help, and Max just goes, that's bait. It's like, you see this a lot, do you?
Yeah. Like, yeah.
It was pretty great, and they all have, like, names for stuff. What is it? The, what do you call it? Bullets. We call it anti-seeds. Plant them in something and watch it die. Nux, Max called him a black thumb. Like, a green thumb is a gardener, but a black thumb is somebody who can revive engines. I get it.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, it's like it's got like a little world building. I get it. That's pretty smart. It's clever. They all have names, like all little things. Rev heads. Anybody who's obsessed and works with engines. They also have another thing behind the whole thing with the Morton Joe, and I'm sure you saw it. They do the thing with their hands.
Yeah.
So if you do that, and you look at your fingers, what that is, those are, if you've ever seen a cutaway of an 8-cylinder engine, that's where the cylinders go. That's cylinder placement. And one of the key principles of their belief is that the V8 engine was designed and built by the gods and given to humanity as a symbol of power and momentum. So the V8 is a holy artifact.
I'm not surprised.
That's why they have it. That's like another part of their like belief structure. To be given a wheel, a steering wheel. Each like you're given a wheel, but then you design it, like you make stuff and make it unique. Is to be given like the power of a god. You are handed essentially like the tools that made the Immortals powerful, and you are trusted to take care of it and make it better. Yeah, so there's like a whole thing behind like that's why, like, what is it? The V8, what do they call it? The Almighty V8 and things like that. But the bigger machines had different engines. Like the War Rig was so unique because, I mean, obviously not in real life it didn't have this, but in the movie it had. That's why they kept calling it Engine 1 and 2. It had 2 8-cylinder engines. Yeah. That's why it had 2 intakes. So,
Oh, I was just saying, I think it was just great that, I think it was nice that, how do I put it? I don't know. I think it was nice that Tom Hardy does Max because, I'm not no offense, I'm not a big fan of Mel Gibson.
When they were,
I didn't. No, don't get me wrong. He does Max well in the older movies and everything. That's not the point. So
I know there are 2 reasons Tom Hardy was cast as Max in this. 1, he's a great actor, but 2, when casting for this began, was right around the time Mel Gibson had his big anti-Semitic rant. And yeah, they were just like, that's not gonna fucking happen. Understandably so.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, a lot of people, I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me, like, about, like, like, there's a lot of Mel Gibson movies that weren't bad. They weren't terrible. It's just that, when it comes to Mel Gibson, he's very strict on what he does. He's very strict on what he thinks is what he wants to be a part of in movies. And especially when it comes to making movies. Passion.
Well, that and his little anti-Semitic rants and to kind of like extradite him from a lot of people who are making movies, because it's like, yeah, look, we really don't need that. We don't need that associated with our product.
Yeah,
I can understand that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, I understand that, back when the Mad Max movies were done, that there was not that kind of problem with him.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
Yeah, but it was just kind of like, it's almost like you see his real colors.
Yeah.
When he got older and he did other things, and it's just kind of like, no, we don't want you.
Yeah, it kind of created a bit of a problem. So, yeah, they recast him, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's really good.
Yeah, very, very good. Yeah.
I could not have picked anyone better, because he gets the. It's not just about voice and movements. He gets the character done properly, and he gets his point across really well, even if he can't talk. Like when he had the cage around his head.
Oh yeah, the muzzle.
Yeah, when he had the muzzle, he really couldn't talk, but just his body expressions and his movements made enough visualization of what he's trying to do and what he's trying to say without actually saying anything.
Yeah. I mean,
and Tom Hardy just has that kind of magic of getting the character's point across of what he's trying to do.
The whole movie has a lot of really great, like, iconic moments and great quotable scenes. I will absolutely be the kind of person to tell you that one of the many things that I've done when playing games online or something, and it's just like, I'm going to drive this thing into the enemy team, because if I explode, I'm going to take a bunch of them out. And I won't deny, on multiple occasions, I have screamed out to other teammates, "Witness me!"
Yeah, I remember you doing that.
And it just turns into like a thing. It's like, "Witness!"
Yeah, I've seen you doing that before.
It's pretty funny.
It's great. I mean, there's not really a lot of bad things to say about this movie, because it's just perfect.
Yeah, it's really well done. It's not overcomplicated. It's not like crazy long. It is a pretty long movie, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels very quick.
It feels like you sat down and was like, I'm going to watch a really cool action movie that's like 2 hours. And then when you watch it, you're like, did not feel like I just went through 2 hours of action. I went through an hour and a half. Because that's literally what it felt like.
I got the same feeling with this movie as I did when I saw Gravity, because it's so intense and it gives you. Yeah, it's a great movie, but that movie, okay.
No.
Yeah, I don't get the impression we're gonna watch that one again, or at least I don't think Sango will watch it with me, because we watched it together once or twice.
Oh man, so
it's intense.
When it comes to Gravity, I how do I explain it?
It's
Um,
um,
it's a movie I could watch with you, but I can never do a review because it's just all I can say about it is just go watch it
yeah.
because you don't really need our opinions on it.
The
If
thing about
you, it's like this. If you love George Clooney and you love Sandra Bullock, that's who it is, right?
yeah,
Sandra Bullock. If you love those two and you love space, just watch it. I mean, that's all we have to say. We can't say anymore because it's like
well,
if we tell you about it, we'll ruin it,
well,
and then you won't want to watch it.
well, no, I'm not gonna like spoil anything about it, but the best way I can say it is, um, the thing about Gravity for me, what makes it so intense. I don't want to deviate on Gravity too much since we're talking about Fury Road, but I can actually relate it to this. There are several scenes in Fury Road where it's like someone has nearly or is going to fall off of a vehicle, and if you've ever seen those scenes where somebody's so close to something that's moving so fast, and it makes every inch of you tense up, just like, oh god, because it's real.
That's literally how I felt.
Yeah, because it's like, I know what that looks like, I've seen it every day, and that's... Gravity does this really great thing of keeping, at least in a large portion of the movie, there's a few shots where it's not, but most of the movie, you see the Earth from... I mean, it's not in space, but you see the Earth all the time, and that's what makes it so fucking intense, because it's like, home is right there. It is right there, and you can't reach it. It is right there, and you will never fucking reach it. And that's what makes it so fucking crazy.
That's what got me. It's like, oh, it's right. No.
Yeah, it's both where you want to be and capable of killing you at the exact same time. And that's... Going back to Fury Road, that's kind of what it's like whenever it's like somebody's hanging off the edge of a vehicle. It's like, the ground is a thing you can walk on, but also can kill you.
Well, see, that's why it got me. In one scene with one of the wives, it like just killed me.
Yeah, she was
and
like,
it's just
God.
kind of like, I love that person.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was your favorite character. Mine is still Furiosa. Well, Furiosa or Nux. I can't decide between the two. They're so great.
Don't get me wrong, Furiosa is awesome, and so is Max, and so is Nux. But if I had to choose a wife, the redhead was actually my favorite.
Yeah.
I love her. She was great.
They had such a great chemistry between them. Like when he's lamenting over the fact that was twice now the gates of Valhalla were open to me, and I failed on both accounts. He's like, I was awaited, but I'll never be allowed in. And she's like, well, maybe you lived for a greater destiny, which was essentially to save them all. And it's like, that's pretty good. That last fucking scene always gets me, though. It's like, oh, fuck. When Rictus rips the engine out of the rig, and it's all spitting gears and fire, and he knows that there's no way he'll catch up to the Giga Horse. That's Immortan Joe's vehicle, that big thing. Yeah. He's like, there's no way he'll catch up to it, and he just witness me, and that's just boom, and then everything goes out, and it's like, Nux, no, you can't. Come on, man.
Yeah, I love how the wife knew that he wasn't going to be able to catch up, and she watched him make the biggest sacrifice that got him to be where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
In the end, it's kind of like in his mind, it's like, I either die, making sure that they're safe, or I die in the arms of the one I fell in love with.
Yeah, but...
And it's like, oh, it's just so touching.
Yeah, but without stopping the rest of the war party, they know if they make it back to the Citadel, they'll all be killed. So someone has to stop the war party. Someone has to kill all of Immortan Joe's line, which includes Rictus, and it has to be done right then. Because if it's not, they'll kill them all.
What I found interesting is I love when they get to the Citadel and his other son is still there.
Yeah.
And that guy is just kind of I'm in already.
Yeah, it was a great ending. I mean, there's so many quotable lines from the movie. On multiple occasions, I've used it while playing games or talking to talking to people and stuff. I have used that Immortan Joe line several times. Whenever what is it? That was I think I said it to to Steele one time, as he said something about not being able to get this thing in some game he was playing, and I was like, "Do not, my friend, become addicted to gyms."
Yeah, I remember when you did that.
You will resent their absence.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, it's got a bunch of
I
great,
remember.
quotable, fun, awesome lines, and the whole movie is just really good.
No, I remember one night when we were talking and somebody out of random was just messaging you and they were bothering you, and you're just kind of like, I'm gonna do something that will really piss them off, and I'm like, what's that? And you quoted, I think Morton Joe talking about Valhalla,
Oh, yeah.
and the
I will
guy
personally carry you to the gates of Valhalla.
and I remember how the person that was messaging you was like, what the heck?
Yeah. I'm
And then
waited.
And then you just keep going, and then they're like, I can't talk to you. And it's like, that's what I was hoping for.
I have had people, like every now and then someone I know, because I have on my jacket, I have an Immortan Joe, like a War Boys patch on my right shoulder.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, it glows in the dark, and I had a friend of mine tell me, like, she's like, oh, like, it glows, and I was like, yeah, it's the War Boys patch, and it's just like, I'm gonna take that, and I was like, one does not relinquish a War Boy of his symbol without expecting death and revenge. Like, one does not take this. You earn this through battle.
I just love how
It's like enough fights I've given with my truck, I've earned this fight. You know?
I think what made me laugh the most is when we first started watching it, and they started putting the armor and stuff on him.
Yeah.
I think what made me laugh the most is when they put the symbol, like, literally right on his crotch.
Yeah, that's apparently a thing, and not a lot of people notice this, but Furiosa has the same belt buckle. It's in the exact same spot, too.
Okay, but the fact that it's around that guy's crotch,
yeah.
it's just funny. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a lot of why, like, the idea of, like, it represents this idea of, like, super toxic masculinity is, like, a running theme when it comes to Immortan Joe, is because it is kind of like that. It is this idea of, like, people will die for me because I am the man in charge, and it's because I am the man and all this other shit. Which is why the rebellion that destroys him is so poignant, this idea of, like, toxic masculinity can be taken down, and that there's no need for this kind of behavior. There are other movies that have done that before this one and after that are also really good. Honestly, and this is another one we're going to have to watch. This is one I'm going to put out there as one we are definitely going to watch, because I don't think you've seen it, is we have to watch Demolition Man.
I've seen Demolition Man.
Oh my god, I love Demolition Man.
It is the greatest.
It is so fucking funny.
It is the greatest, funniest action movie I have ever seen in my entire life.
It's like it understands exactly what 80s action movies are, and then everybody in it also gets the joke. Like, Stallone gets the joke, and Snipes gets the joke, so it's like they act like terrible 80s action movie stars, the hero and the villain, because they totally are in on the joke. And Sylvester Stallone playing the quote-unquote straight man when it comes to comedy works because he has such a serious expression, so when funny shit happens, it's really funny.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, when it comes to Demolition Man, it's like it knows what it wants to be and what it needs to be. And that's what I loved about it. And I think that's what I feel about when it comes to, like, Fury Road. It wanted to be the Mad Max that people have been wanting and needing for a while, because, yeah, as much as the first two were good and the third one was weird, Fury Road really is the one that people really was looking for and wanting and needing.
Well, the third one still does have like a bunch of really great quotable lines and great quotable moments too, but nothing. It doesn't go in the same level as like the. I mean, hell, the ending of the first one was such a brutal moment where Max says nothing while the guy is trapped under the car, and it's real obvious that the car is going to like explode. And he doesn't talk, and the whole time the guy's like, "You got to get me out of here! You're a cop! You have to help me!" And he just goes back to his car and comes back with like a fucking hacksaw, and just leaves it next to him and just walks the fuck away. It's like, God damn, that's cold.
Well, yeah, and see, that's what I mean. Like, yes, we have there's cold moments, weird moments, and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to Fury Road, more people are going to remember Fury Road just like how people remember Demolition Man.
Mm-hmm.
Is because of how much of an impression
it's very iconic,
people.
Moments like that.
Well, that's what I found about Demolition Man. It gives an impression, just like when I watching this movie, that's what it reminds me of. It just reminds me of the fact that Demolition Man was another movie that gave a good impression.
Yeah.
For me to want to remember it. I may not remember all the quotes because I haven't seen it in forever, but it's literally the 80s movie that it was, that was like good action, good funny moments.
Yeah,
and it's one of the Sylvester Stallone movies I don't mind watching.
I can't remember if the original Mad Max came out before or after Watchmen the comic. I think before.
I just knew it was like 80 something. I know that. That's all I remember.
I think before, because there's that moment that what do you call it? That Rorschach killed, like whenever he's explaining like how he became as brutal as he is, and it seems like a reference to that moment from that movie, because in the comic that's pretty much the same thing. The guy who kidnapped, raped, and murdered that little girl, he handcuffs him to a stove and then sets the house on fire and then leaves him with a hatchet. So it's like, if you can cut your arm off, you'll live, but if you can't, you die here. And a lot of people don't like that they took that out of the Watchmen movie. I actually really like the scene they did with it anyway, where it's like he goes through this whole internal struggle while the guy's handcuffed to the stove and finally admits it and then starts going on about like, well, just take me to jail. And then Rorschach just loses it and just axes him right in the head and just kills him, and he's just, men go to prison, dogs get put down. It's like, whoa! That was fucking crazy.
Actually, it's funny because it's funny that you mentioned that because I saw that in the movie.
That is a really, really good movie.
No, that actually did happen in the movie.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
You said that it wasn't in the Watchmen movie.
No, the part where he burns the house down while the guy's still alive in it isn't in the movie.
Well, no, I think what they were trying to do is that they were with the Watchmen movie, and I know that not every scene for scene is going to be exactly like how the comic went.
Yeah, I don't mind that though.
I think they were trying to give you an idea, like, instead of it being the iconic handcuff him to this and burn the house down.
Yeah.
They felt that, well, what if Rorschach just kills him and just tell him, you're a dog, you get to die.
Essentially what they were trying to do is to prove that he's brutal but has a reason behind his brutality, and this is the thing that made him snap. And that's fine. That's actually not bad for character development. But
I don't know why, but I find it more meaningful behind his brutality than I did with the comic version. Not that I hate the comic version, just that it made more sense. It gave you an idea of, like, this is what made him go beyond.
Well, I mean, both work, but
everything.
Both work, but one is more like visually. The whole medium of film is different. That's why, like, stuff that works in the I believe there's like a bunch of graphic novels also dedicated to Mad Max. What works in that doesn't necessarily work in a movie, and that's why they have to change certain things, because it's like what works in one medium doesn't necessarily work in another, and
but
that's fine. If it works, it works, you know? Yeah, like if you can find something
because you're still getting the point across for the story.
Yeah, if you can keep the narrative
without having to be scene for scene for scene of the exact book.
Yeah, if you can keep the narrative going, it still works. As long as it's not breaking the narrative, then it's not a terrible scene. So it's
that's what I like about, you know, how George Miller did all this. And it reminds me of how other movies lately, like recently, taking it from a book perspective, have been like, you know, okay, what if we can take this book, fix it up into a movie, you know, and into a movie medium, but we have to change a couple of things because it wouldn't work for what's going on right, you know, for like this type of generation.
Well, also the medium.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, the medium of film is different than the medium of a book, and there's a lot of people who will say like there's a whole bunch of stuff that's in, like if you take Harry Potter for example. No, let's use Lord of the Rings, 'cause I actually read those.
No, Lord of the Rings is probably the best example.
Yeah, I read those, and it's like there is a lot of stuff that was in Lord of the Rings that was not in the movies, and I don't have a problem with that, because, okay, so if you're going to talk about things that are taken out and changed for the medium of movies, the most famous thing from Lord of the Rings is everything about Tom Bombadil has been taken out of it. And that's not a problem for me, because while I like Tom Bombadil as a character, he added pretty much nothing to the entire narrative.
Well, yeah, that's not the thing that would be a big insult to injury when it comes to the movie medium. I think the biggest insult to injury is when people criticize it for not being exactly like the book, and I'm like, you know, this is a movie adaptation. It's never going to be exactly like the book.
Yeah, when you adapt stuff to film, you have to understand that you have time limitations to work with. Whereas...
and details to visualize.
Yeah.
And
whereas, again, going back to Harry Potter, you can spend fucking 2 chapters talking about what his life is like living in the house before he goes to Hogwarts, but it's like, if you do that in the movie is now 5.5 hours long. Nobody's going to fucking watch it, even if they are Harry Potter fans, because that's 5.5 fucking hours. Who the fuck is going to sit through that? So
well, it's the same thing with, like, I ran into a lot of Harry Potter people, and they're like, I don't know why they didn't put these things that are in the book into the movie, and I'm like, would you really want to watch that, though?
Yeah, you have to work within time frame, and...
well, like, you have to ask yourself, do you really want to watch that in the movie? Because I don't really think it's that important.
Yeah, because the biggest thing when it comes to a visual medium like television or movies is not just do you have to have a plot and a narrative, you have to have a plot and a narrative that's snappy. It has to go. Because if it doesn't go, it feels like it's dragging. It feels like it loses all momentum and becomes, like, difficult to sit through because this part is really boring or that part is really slow or nothing happens here and nothing happens there. Like, you have to make sure what you're doing works, and that's what made Fury Road fit so well, is everything that was happening was doing snappy. It was all going somewhere. Even the slow moments felt like they were building towards something. So,
yeah, that's why, like, when I was watching so much of this, the fact that it was out on the road more than anything made it even better, because as much as the other Mad Max movies were good, they weren't constantly on the road. They were always settling down somewhere.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, this is a quiet moment. And I'm like, yeah, but
you can
still have a quiet moment and still be on the road.
Yeah, you can have quiet moments, but they have to do something for the narrative. I mean, one of the most in like when it comes to Mad Max movies, the moment that I think of the most is in the second one in Road Warrior. There's a large portion of time that is in between like Lord Humongous demanding gasoline and the people who live in this little settlement that is surrounding this small refinery. And Max is doing pretty much fucking nothing. He's just kind of sitting there. He's in the settlement, but I mean, he's not talking to anybody. Nothing's really happening. There's like a whole bunch of parts that kind of don't really go anywhere for a bit, and it's like, okay, but what does this mean? Like, what is this building towards? Is this just because you wanted to have him sit down? Like, why? I don't understand why. What is the point?
Staring at Mel Gibson's hair?
Yeah, it's like, alright, look, it's a nice car, but we've been looking at it for 35 minutes. Can we do something else, please?
Yeah, it's like Fury. The reason I love Fury Road so much is just because the fact that you could still be on the road and still have moments that you need, quiet moments, rough moments, whatever, and still be on the road and still do something, because it gives a narrative, it gives a story of why they're still driving, why they're going that way, why they're doing this, why are they doing that, and you could still get out of that. And what's really cool, the one moment they don't drive is when they meet Furiosa's family.
Yeah.
And they talk about how, they're sitting around the stars. And it's just kind of like, see, that's not a problem, because not only do they talk about certain things, but they're getting to know each other as characters before the final moment that comes.
And considering everything that came before this moment, this grouping of scenes works because of all of that. We've had so much momentum that it's okay to slow down right here because it feels like something is happening.
That something's going to happen soon, and we want to relax, and we want to take a breath.
I will say that the choice of, I mean, the music was great, but the lines were fantastic. There's so many quotable lines. The insane rambling that the bullet farmer goes on after he goes blind, and it's just literally blindly firing at them. It's like, what is it? I am the conductor of the choir of death. Sing, brother Heckler, sing, brother Koch. And he's firing fucking H&K machine guns. The scales of judgment.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And then to have what was it? I think it's Desiree, the Latin opera, just playing in the background for no reason. It's just like, holy shit.
Yeah. That was interesting. But, overall, Fury Road's in my top favorite movies.
I knew you would like it.
It will probably be a movie that I would literally watch over and over again, no matter how many times I watch it, whether it's with you or not. More likely with you. I would watch it 1,000 times over until the day I die.
I, as well, absolutely recommend this movie. If anybody who's listening to this hasn't seen it by now, you should see it. It's really good. It's got something for everybody. It really works on a bunch of different levels. It's smart, it's fast, it's fun. There are great moments. There are funny moments. There's all kinds of great things. What was one of my other favorite insults to come out of this movie? What was the one thing she said? Something about like, oh yeah, when they first meet Max, and was like, do you think he's going to the green place? And like, no, he's a stupid swit who eats slanger. It's like, I just love the way she says it.
That's great.
There's such great lines throughout the whole movie. It's quotable, just end to end. I have found on multiple occasions at the I think it's like Walmart, and there's a grocery store out here that also has it. Essentially, it's spray-on icing for cakes that you're trying to add, like, decorative effects to. Well, they make reflective silver spray on icing. And I kind of want it.
What, just so you could spray it on your mouth just like they do?
I am awaited in Valhalla!
Basically, yes, me and Moonhorse do recommend this movie.
Yeah, this is a great one.
So you need to check it out.
Absolutely. So, we're going to stop this podcast, but yeah, this is a great movie, and if you like us watching and doing this crazy shit, you could like, comment, subscribe. I would appreciate it. Also, you can give me $1 on Patreon. I'll be your best friend. It's true. I will. I mean, you can tell people you know me. Anyway, you give me $1, give me a little kiss, just like that. Okay, you guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.